use the kids at the end of the year to organize his shop and get it cleaned up, and it's quite out of sorts right now. So he's going to be spending some time there, but I guess I just need some direction on what you guys think. I think that if you're familiar with the ag building, it would be that room that cuts between the woods room and his open space. We would just block off one side and have a entry into there, and the bid shows that he would move the toilet flange over to 18 inches to make it be big enough for a handicap stall and put in a sink. And then the smaller bid is just to reinstall a newer that we saved from the existing building drinking fountain and put an actual faucet on the sink that has always just been a hose. So that's the things that I asked him for.
So if I look at this right, Pam, this bid is doing all the work, and ag class wouldn't have to do any of it. Is that correct? Or
no, it's just him putting in a new flange for the toilet, installing the sink. So it says he will do a tank toilet, a sink, patch what he does on the floor, but the wall patch would be done by others, and the remodel of the room would be in that area. Right now there's a big shelf with all of his tools on it, and it's like a workbench. It's a big project. So I guess if you want to wait and see after you take a look at it, John, I was going to call you today and have you come and look just to see, and Julie thought you had enough information. So the bid price is really good. I think it's really, really good. I don't think that he's gouging us at all, but it's going to be a lot of work on our side.
so what his bid would do, basically get everything prepared for us to do.
He would put in a toilet and a sink, and we would have to, it's a kind of a cardboard or cardboard siding in there now. So it could just be painted. We just have to take out the shelves and paint it. He would install a toilet and a sink to the right standards to make it handicap accessible. That's what his bid is for the, I don't have it with me because I'm at home, $1,400 or whatever.
We've looked at that before several times. We need to do something out there probably. So.
And if there's another design, if one of you guys has a better design or a better solution, I'm definitely willing. That was just something that I thought would work, and brought Mike in to give me his advice, said it can be done. I told him there was a board meeting tonight and I would get back with him if the board had any questions. So if we want to pursue it further, we can discuss it a little later.
Yeah. Or custodians.
Yeah. Any questions for Pam on that? Thought, share?
So it's 380 plus the 1475, right? And then plus the 200.
I had it separated out. The small bid is for only the drinking fountain and the faucet.
Job. Yep. And so
the bigger one is for the toilet and the sink, and the third 205 is if we want handicap rails, but we can figure that out.
Yep. Okay.
We do have toilet partitions that we saved from the elementary down by Janet's office from years past that I think we can even put stalls in.
Good job.
If it works. I mean, we still have to block off the wall, and we still have to build some kind of ramp from the welding room into the woods room to get into the bathroom. So yeah, I was hoping to look at that with somebody, but we can later.
If we approve this, it'll give us a start to.
Yeah, I agree. If you approve it, and then if we would need to change it up a little bit, we can change it up.
Big stuff. Right. A step was pretty good. tub faucet, and then second for $14.75 to move the toilet flange and provide a new ADA tank toilet supply. And also patches. And then the grab bars, I guess that's something that we could do later, or
Oh.
if we have partitions or something else, we can figure that out ourselves. So maybe that last 225 we would not approve.
Okay.
That's just my thinking.
Panels already, I'm sure they got bars on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Somebody wants to make one.
I'll
Do that.
the person who gets parts, not the grab bar.
The $380 and the $14.75.
I second.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion's approved to accept the part of the bid that's $14.75.
So they'll do the first two items, Pam, not the grab bars.
Okay, I think that's fine, and I'll try to design it so we can use the partitions that we have, or see if that'll work with Mike. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Pam, you still there?
Yeah, Pam, do you want to talk a little bit more? Pam, let's see. Let's see. Pam, I'm gonna unmute you real quick one more time.
Okay, yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Sorry.
I said roush out. I was gone. Go ahead.
We want to just talk real quick about the tuck pointing. Is that what you want?
Yeah, the tuck pointing, I had them just do a general inspection of our building. We walked the whole outside of the building, and of course, they're going to pick out every little thing. So the very first bid that we had, and Julie probably has the numbers in front of her, was they think that we should recock every seam in the west gym. I mean, they're getting to a point, and there's pictures of everything. So I told them to separate that from what I thought needed to be done. So I had him come back. I asked him if he ever watched the show, Deal or No Deal, if he could call upstairs to the guy and see if he could get us a better deal. He told me I could call him Howie Mandel if I wanted to. And we got it down to like $6,000. And if you walk the building, you'll see on the ramp by the wellness center, there's bricks missing in the ramp. It's all settling, it needs caulking. I kept telling him that we could power wash. I don't see that there's power washing in that, but as part of their deal is they power wash everything to show what needs to be done. You know, if a tuck pointing will come out. So I think we got it down to, what is it, Julie, 6,600, and it would just be around the front of the building and the major things. There's a pretty big spot right beside the little window in the kitchen area. But he said, unless we do it all, we're wasting our time because the brick will settle. So I think we're gonna have to do it in phases. And there are pictures of every single thing that I just marked off of his whole thing of the things that I thought needed to be done that were a detriment to watching our building fall apart. And so we're down to 6,600.
Good job out of you, Pam.
Yeah, well, I said, he goes, do you want to call me Howie Mandel? I said, I don't care. Just call upstairs to the guy and see if he wants to make a deal or no deal.
You're saying
So yeah, the pictures they show themselves, and I gave Julie the whole pack at the beginning of the whole building, and it was quite overwhelming. And she said, listen, they're not going to want that. They're going to want what our opinion is, what needs to be done. So they came back. They were really good to work with. I've only ever used them. I've not ever really got quotes from anywhere else, but it's expensive to do when you're talking brick.
Yeah, they have the whole packet in front of them, Pam, electronically. They give us an electronic copy of it as well. So they have all the pictures and everything.
Yeah, so if you guys agree with what we've taken pictures of, and I guess right now is a phase, we should do the things that, like Julie said, let's do the things we have to, and then if there's extra money on something, then we throw something else in. But I don't feel like this year the whole entire West Gym needs caulk from top to bottom. You'll see on that very first one, the electronic version that he takes pictures of it and it looks like it needs it, but we don't have any wall leakage or anything. I mean, if we were damaging the inside, I would maybe go for that a little bit more, but yeah, pretty much what we got there is what we probably should do.
Okay.
Have we used this firm before?
Yeah, I've used them for 24 years, but we haven't had to have them very often. I mean, they probably 2 years ago, I think they did the whole front of the central office. That ramp was settling and pulling apart. They're the ones that put the drip edge on so that when the water runs down, it doesn't run down the brick, it defers off. And they would do that again on that limestone in front of the wellness center. Yeah, just precautionary things to keep it from damage.
Anybody have any questions for Pam or Bob? Yes, my thought is some maintenance items, if you let them go too far, it gets water in and then it's,
And then it's
it's a lot more expensive down the road than what, even though 66 seems like a lot right now, it could be a lot more.
Well, and I think it has to, like I said, it might have to go in phases as we just look at that every year and just see, you know, what's in the budget. I know this, but this year's hard. If you want to, you know, take the chance and go another year or wait till, you know, whatever you guys want to do. I just was getting the information.
600 and then doing it in phases. The other one
Other
Okay.
buildings that
Right.
fall apart.
You wanna do it all?
No, I think, I think Pam did a good job.
Yeah.
of getting what's critical right now.
Yep.
So, yes, I'd recommend that you move forward with that. Have any other questions or discussion on it? Somebody want to make a motion to that effect? Discussion? Have a motion and a second, all in favor of accepting the bid from Carr Tuck Pointing for various tuck pointing, ceiling repairs, maintenance items. What was that,
$66.69.
$6,669. All in favor of that, aye? Pose same sign. Motion's approved.
all right, Pam. I'm gonna mute you again.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is personnel. Looks like we have a couple new hires to approve.
Nice job on the band.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing. I was so happy to see that. So kudos to probably everyone who created that position. Yeah.
Then somebody read that.
Yeah.
What do we know about?
Michael,
Yeah,
do you
so
wanna
Jamie,
talk
from
to-
what I remember, brand new grad, Rob was really excited about her. I think Wartburg, I don't know.
I don't know that I have any of that.
Yeah, Rob, if you're available, can you unmute?
Wake up.
Yeah, he may have left the room. I don't know. He's still muted. Yeah. Oh no, Rob, he's not unmuted. Rob, are you on?
Rob has
No, he's still muted. Okay, she's a new grad. I'm pretty sure she was Wartburg, super full of energy. I haven't met her, but he was super excited about her. Oh, there he is. I have to unmute him. He is telling me unmute. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, Rob,
I couldn't unmute myself. You had to unmute me.
I wish I could do that every time whenever on. But one on you and one on Jason. Have a lot easier life.
What was the question?
Can you tell us about the new band teacher? I was kind of ballparking that she was Wartburg, I think, super
Yep.
young, energy. That's what I remember that you told me.
Yep, Jason and I interviewed her. She's from West Branch, which was awesome, small town, very similar to Baxter. Went to Wartburg. Was in drum corps there, marching band there. Was in an all Iowa honor band this year. Excited, great energy. I feel like it's a really good fit. I was really glad we could get somebody half time and then make the other half work. She's gonna be our first sub on the opposite days when she's not doing band. And she was completely excited, especially about K-8. Usually it's I'll do 6-12 or 4-12, but I want no piece of the kindergarten or first grade. But she was like, that's the side I want. So she'll be Jason's first sub on those days and then working band the other days. So felt really good about it.
Yeah, we were really excited to have her as an elementary sub. That was part of the deal because we've had such a struggle getting subs at the elementary level, and she was all in on that. So we were just
So
couldn't
she'll
be
just
happier.
be our first, she'll be in the building every day and
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see that. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, same here.
I was
Yeah.
nervous about, how Rob kind of painted the picture of having band.
well, he's
Yeah.
really good about, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So, all right. So thank you, Rob. And then I don't know, Jason, are you on and available? I'm going to try and unmute you. And
He can talk about both of his.
Jason,
I'm available.
oh, very good. Okay. Do you want to talk about your two elementary hires?
Absolutely. Super excited about Emily Schneider, our third grade teacher, coming to us from Iowa State. She lives up in Ames with her husband and 2-year-old son. Gave her a tour of the building after we hired her. She came down and she's just super excited, and we are too. Rob and I met Emily up at the Iowa State job fair, and knew when we met her that she was going to be a really good teacher. She ended up applying. We had a big pool for that job, and she rose to the top in that pool. So super excited about her. And then just this last week, we hired Ashley Stuka as our fourth grade teacher. Thank you for the fourth grade teacher position. Ashley is also an Iowa State grad. I believe she lives in Ankeny right now. And she'll be coming up tomorrow night, 5:30. I'm going to give her a quick tour of the building. Just feels weird to hire a teacher and they don't know what it is that they're getting into or where their room is, or you know what I mean. We always give those tours and they get a chance to see town and see the school, and that just didn't happen interviewing teachers over Zoom. So Ashley had a great interview. She's very solid, great references, great experiences in her student teaching, and we felt pretty excited to have Ashley. So 2 really great hires for the elementary. Both of their teaching partners are very excited to get to work with them, and so we're just going to start including them on emails and stuff as we develop our return to learn plan so that they're ready to roll in the fall.
All right. Any questions for Jason? All right. Their heads no. So thanks for all that, Jason. All right.
Okay. So you want to take these separate or all together?
You can take them all.
Okay. Do we have a motion to offer contracts to Jamie Flanagan for half-time band teacher, half-time substitute teacher, Emily Schneider for third grade teacher, and Ashley Stupka as a fourth grade teacher? Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved to offer contracts to those 3 teachers. Okay, next item is classified staff salaries. Looks like there's a document in there that we can look at.
Yep, so I just kind of took a shot in the dark and started out with 0. And the reason I started out with 0 is because we probably need to talk about, because we haven't, about any additional pay we're going to give Pam for being shared. So we've talked about the district side of it and the monies that the district's going to get or the district's going to pay out, but we haven't talked about if Pam gets something for it. Since she'll be driving over there, just what your thoughts are on that.
And right now we pay Mr. Pickett. What do we pay him? He's 1 day a month.
He's 1 day a month. He goes to Colfax, Mingo, and then also to PCM, and we pay him $1,000 to do that.
And so what we'd kind of floated was, since Pam will be going 4 days a month, just $4,000 just to keep it consistent. So I don't know how you feel about that, or I see on here it's a little more than
Yeah,
that.
I did. I put 5,000, and I'm not sure why I did that. I guess I was.
Sounds like.
I know.
Did we talk
Yeah,
about that
I-
when we were talking about sharing positions in general?
I-
Or
I think we
do
talked
remember
about that.
number that.
I'm not
the-
sure
we
where
may
it came
have-
from, but I remember
Yeah.
talking about that number.
That was, for Pages.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That could be.
Yeah, that
Just
we're
a
not.
stipend in general.
yeah,
And
that we're
like
not
the-
doing
the FFA has a stipend or.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
know
we're talking about
that.
the. Okay.
Yep. So, but John suggested that it be a stipend so that we chose not to do it again next year, whatever, then that stipend goes away. It doesn't affect the actual contract, her
Mhm.
contract.
And I think that logic makes sense too, based on
For sure.
what we've already done with
Certificate.
certificates.
Yeah.
So 4,000.
Yes, I will change that to 4,000. I don't know what I was thinking.
That's not like you to go above, Julie.
know. If anything, I'd go below.
Like, wait, that's not what we talked about.
So that was the only reason that I put the zeros in there, because even at 0%, if we add that in, it's going to cost us. And then I just kind of went up at 0.5% from there forward up to the 1.97, which is what it would equal with the teachers and their $100. It actually equaled 1.97%. So that's where I got that number.
The columns on the right, you're saying?
Yeah, on the far right.
Yeah, the far right, that
Yeah.
1.97, rather than go to a full 2, the
Yeah.
1.97 was equal to the teachers.
Okay, what's everybody's thoughts? You want to talk about where we're at, or kind of got bookends on it? The administrators all agreed to 0%. We've got the teachers at 1.97, so
Yep.
somewhere in between there.
So if you just add those together, if we were at 1.97, that's going to be about another 15,000 there.
Plus 5 or plus 4 or.
That would
stipend.
include that.
Does
I
that
think.
include-
That would include that.
Oh, okay.
And then your paras, I sort of guessed at what they were going to be. It's a ballpark range because they range from anywhere from $10 to $14.31. If you look down there towards the bottom, I have them see that line there. But it's really just sort of an average.
And do we know yet how many?
That always depends.
It always adjusts. I can hold on just a second and I'll pull that up
And that can depend too. We could have a kiddo move in
Right.
at any time. that
Or somebody
needs-
move
or
out.
somebody move
here.
out.
Yep,
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Rob did say that he was, well, I guess he was talking about special ed teachers, but so right now we have, if I include Janet Damon, we have we have 13 paras. Generally, we always seem to fall right around 12. It is what it seems like. No matter how hard we try it, that's just usually where it falls. So we may get a little heavy like in the fall, but then, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 or we'll quit or whatever, and then we just try to band-aid it, you know, and so it usually just kind of levels out right around 12. So we're starting at 13 if we're including Janet, which I assume we are. I haven't heard any difference.
I just know that we were deciding on getting another 4th grade teachers,
Mhm.
and said, well, splitting the class up, then maybe you're not. gonna
Yep.
need-
Right,
So,
yeah.
So there's two WIN teachers there, I believe, that are
Mhm.
actually one WIN teacher, right? Because they're part-time. They're each part-time. They equal one person. And Jason has asked me if there is some categorical funding that we could use to pay for that. And so we did some digging, and part of the ESSA funding, which is the school improvement, it says interventions. You know, if you put in place some interventions,
So
you
we
know,
don't need to give them more.
no, we're not giving them the title. They'll still be paras, but we can use that
Yeah.
funding to pay for them then. So now that's, you know, we get that ESSA for 3 years, and this is our second year. So we may be just Band-Aiding it,
Mhm.
but yeah,
But at least we can
Were
get a
those
year's
pairs
worth.
paid with ESSA funds last year? Or no?
they were paid with special ed funds.
So this is, we've got, because of our designation,
Right.
that extra money that we can use to pay for it. So at least it's not general fund for some of that WIN stuff.
Right.
How many WIN teachers do we need? Or how many would Jason like?
I thought he had 2. Maybe he can speak to
Yeah.
it, but I
Jason,
don't know if that was.
are you available to talk again? I'm going to unmute you.
Yep,
Jason?
I'm here.
Okay, you want to talk a little bit about the WIN paras? They just have some questions about like how many and how that works, and because we were just talking about that we could use ESSA to pay for the WIN.
What you had
paras.
asked about, Jason, about your WIN teachers, and I couldn't remember if Kay and Barb, even though they're both part-time, that's really one, and then is there another one, or are they the only ones, or how?
Yep. So we had Kay and Barb that basically split days during a week. They were halftime each to make a full position. And then we had Angela Mergen as our second, I guess, para, right? We would call her second as far as the position went. Those paras were WIN paras. They are, I'll just speak honestly, I believe they're instrumental in the work that we're trying to do in putting all hands on deck. So I understood that, you know, having those paras is going to be a challenge this year. And so as far as finances go, and so we're trying to do some different things. And one thing that I hope to do is, if I'm capable of hiring a para, at least one para with some of the ESSA dollars, I would like to do that. Because I mean, our goal is to stay off this ESSA list, this designation, right? We do not want to be a designated school again. And so our plan that we put in place, the system we put in place with WIN, was to minimize the number of students in a group so that our kids could get as individualized attention as they need to help them to grow in areas of reading and math. And so I think those paras are pretty important. So at least one of those paras. And then I'm working on some other ideas on how to get more people involved with helping with that, because we just want to keep that way. We don't want to be in a situation where a classroom teacher is trying to work with a group of students while the rest of his or her class is sitting in the room doing things kind of on their own. We want these kids to receive what they need, individualized, to benefit them in every possible way. So however I can make this work, I'm going to try to at least get one of those paras.
Can we afford all 3 of those WIN people with the ESSA money?
Well, that's all up to Jason and what he decides he needs to do with that money. We have a certain set amount of money, which is about 50,000, but he may have some of that already
Yeah,
earmarked
some of
for
it's
something
for
else.
some PD that they're doing
Yeah.
with some math stuff. So, but
But what that does help, Jason, you got my email, right? Saying that we could do that. You saw that, right?
I absolutely saw that. You know, as far as, I mean, to answer the question, I kind of just I just heard it just a little bit in the background. I don't know that I want to spend all of our money on paras in that ESSA money, because there's other things that we would like to continue to work and do with our students. So,
Well, you have that call. That's your
Yeah.
call. So, but what that does do is it frees up more special ed dollars for us to potentially pay for Janet as being a para. So remember when we were switching it from a contract, we told her she could go to a para. So that actually helps us out even more. We could use potentially those dollars to pay for Janet, others over to us. It's shifting.
How can you use special ed money?
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Potentially. It all depends on how Jason structures his paras.
I see.
It all depends. So.
Right. So
If
Janet
she's
may not be
servicing a
doing
special ed,
a special
Yes.
ed. She,
Even if she were to service all the students in a general way, not in a individual way, then she's serving some of the special ed students too. So we can use a portion of it, through special ed.
Mhm.
So it just helps by shifting the dollars a little bit.
And
but
Jason,
we are going to meet with next Tuesday. All the secretaries are if we're going to meet and we're going to talk through different just roles and responsibilities and who's doing what and how could it work, and is there a way that we could still possibly use Janet in some elementary secretary sort of ways. And also we're just trying to think outside the box, because there's things that have to get done at that elementary, and without Janet we're not quite sure how it's going to get done. So we're going to sit down all together, Jason, Rob, me, Julie, Deb, Janet, Angie, and just draw it up and say, how is this going to work? So, and how can we make it work with the amount of people we have and the amount of funding we have? And then Rob was just texting me. And also, like, we have some ideas about special ed teachers, depending on looking at people's rosters. There's a possibility we may not hire back another teacher. Like, Mrs. Sarah Fricky resigned, and we're trying to look at, is there a way that between Mrs. Ean and Mr. Wilson, could we work creatively and just cover it with the staff we have? And then that's, $60,000 back in our pocket. So we're just trying to figure out, how can we best use the people we have and the money we have to get done what we need to get done? So
that special ed money that was used for Sarah Fricky possibly could be used for some special ed paras.
right,
Mhm.
right. And then, then you could use some of that ESSA money which is different. Then we could use them for WIN, and, and then, maybe we have the money and we look at the stuff that we have to get done, and maybe we have enough general fund money to just pay Janet. We'll just have to kind of see how it all shakes out.
So what have we done for, this is considered classified staff? Is that what
Yeah.
we say?
Yep.
What have we done in the past? I know has it always been different from teachers, or has it always been the same?
For the most part, it's generally the same, but you have went less before. And in that budget reduction environment where we cut the music teacher that year,
Yes.
all classified took freezes. So they didn't get anything. Only teachers got something that year.
How much are we saving by not giving administration any raise? Is that enough to give the classified a raise?
Let me look.
I was thinking in that budget, that was kind of like from zero, though, wasn't? I mean, like a 0% raise, right?
What?
The budget we worked off of a couple meetings ago when we were figuring how much.
Yeah, that wasn't including any raises.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So that was basically.
Yeah. So yeah.
Ground
So where we
zero
were
there.
214, now, any raise, we're going backwards.
Right.
Yep. But I haven't added in those two new
Oh, the operational sharing.
operational sharing.
Yeah, so that'll give us back
Do
Well,
we get
5. We'll get those. We won't get it this year. They'll
It'll be
count.
two,
It'll
yeah.
be the following year.
21, 20, 22.
So if we're at 19, and what were we at last year? We were just at Josh? No, Josh and Heather. So we had 8 before, and now we'll have 19.
Wow.
So that'll be
So 11.
11 more. So that's 77,000 roughly more that we'll get than we did.
Mhm.
But it's a year down the road.
Yeah. And a little bit of that we'll get back because of like the $4,000 for, well, no, we'll still get the funding, but we'll have to spend a little of it. So it's not like 77,000 more in our pockets.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Because we'll have the salary on.
yeah, like a portion of the salary and then the
Yeah.
portion, or we'll have that stipend.
Positions.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? I guess personally, I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, in the time we're in right now, it's kind of crazy. I mean, there's employers furloughing people, laying people off, whatever, and we haven't. We've continued to pay. So to me, that's worth something right there, even if we did a 0%, that we've stuck by their side and we're continuing to pay their salary versus, you know, some
Laying
big
them off,
some
or
big
laying them off.
companies, it's like, yeah, or across the board 15% cut, you know, and we're not
And we don't know
We're
if
not
that's not
talking
coming,
cut
you know?
here, right? But so I mean, the people, they do a great job and you want to pay them as much as you can, but again, you have to be able to keep the company running here too. When I say company, that's the school. So you can't get yourself in a bind where we can't continue to operate. So personally, I guess if there's a year to just stay even where we're at, it would be this year, in my opinion.
Do any of these positions listed here have benefits?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All of them except for the not contracted. So down at the very bottom don't. All the others do.
Okay.
So those ones that have asterisk by it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So those ones that don't have an asterisk by it are either getting health insurance or they're getting an additional $3,300 a year in their paycheck. You know, because they didn't take the health insurance or yes, and none of that's calculated in here. Plus their, you know, sick leave and personal days and that.
Thoughts, discussion?
I wish we could give them the same, but I do understand this is a tough year. These people don't get paid enough, but it's never gonna be enough. They're such a small district, and so I understand where you're coming from. I can support that, although I do feel I wish we could pay them as much as the teachers because they are, you know, the salary increase as much as we did the teachers.
Any other thoughts?
I don't know if I'm figuring this right. It's like a 1% increase minus the stipend, not including the stipend.
Mm-hmm. I can just take that right out of
It's
there.
like cost $4,955. It's kind of just adding up those totals.
Is it adding up the total rows, Julie?
Yes. So is it, Did you say 1%?
Yeah.
I'll just take that right out of there. And you're only looking at $1,200 for an increase
But
for that
all those
top
combined,
section. Yep.
Oh, 1,200, and then 1,200, and then
the 12.96.
And then 1296, and then the 2436,
so 5,000-ish
5,000.
for 1% raise.
And really, that 4,000, I just wanted it to be a place where you didn't forget that we were going to do that. So it really isn't in addition to, it's just coming off of the amount that we're getting.
That's
You know what I mean?
77,000.
So rather than 20,000, we're getting 16,000.
That's what I was kinda like,
You know, so you
okay.
really truly can take that off of there if you want to. Yeah.
I'd be inclined to say 1% anyway, just $5,000, but it's, I think you deserve something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do too.
Like I said,
Yeah.
this year, the end of the year here, just, we've been pretty good, but,
Well, I mean, we aren't, you know, like, we aren't quite to the 300,000, but we have made a pretty good dent. And if you think about, Michael and I were talking that, you know, we do have a month of not paying paras, not paying those hourly people because of unemployment, and we don't have to pay that because of the COVID-19. Normally we would have to pay it. It would come out of our unemployment insurance, but we don't have to do that. So we did save some money there.
Sure.
But where did the state come down on that? I thought the state was like, you need to pay them rather than put them on unemployment.
No. If we furloughed like our coaches and all of those people, we were already budgeting for them. And so then if we put them on furlough, then it was like we were double dipping.
Okay,
So
but the pairs aren't considered that way?
no, because they're an hourly, they weren't contracted. We don't generally figure them in when it comes, you know, into levying for budgets and things like that. We did pay them for the first
Month. wasn't
month,
it?
I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yep. And then after that, then we told them to. And I don't know that the state really, I don't know what the state's decided to do. That was, they just
Yeah,
said,
there was
be
two
careful.
different, yeah,
because
we had
it
one
could
attorney
happen.
saying
Yeah,
this
and
and
Matt
one
Carr was
saying
saying
that.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And I don't know if they ever, you know, maybe we don't know that yet. You know,
Okay.
maybe it's too soon
Yeah.
to tell, but we chose not to furlough any of our people just to be safe, because I do get it. We did tax our payers, you know, our taxpayers for that. And then to not pay them, it's sort of like we are double dipping, you know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I totally get that.
So the pairs, that's the only group that fell into that
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
That hasn't been paid.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, they were paid for a month.
Right,
Yeah. but-
further.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But for May, they so like from May 1st to May 22nd, they didn't get paid, but they applied for unemployment. And they did. Once they applied, it comes to me and I have to sign off on it. So. Mhm.
I agree with you, Corey. I think it'd be, when you look at the numbers, it doesn't sound like it's not a huge number that we're looking at, and I would feel better offering some kind of raise up. Obviously, it's small.
Yep.
But we also are in a pretty tight year, so something's better than nothing.
I agree.
Okay, do I hear that as a motion and a second?
Second. I assume it's Corey's motion.
Right.
I'll second.
Are you 1%? Is that what you're
1%.
moving, or?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to give a 1% increase to the classified staff. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved for a 1%.
Thank you.
Okay. Administrative staff salaries, I don't know if we need to visit that. We've talked about it and they've all agreed to
Yep.
zero increase, which again, I tremendously appreciate that. We hope times get better in the future and we can, and they will, but we've been through this before where they've done zero and we try to make it right with them in the future when we do have a little more funding. So, but it's greatly appreciated.
I feel bad. We're all sitting here. Oh, these people deserve this, and teachers deserve that. And it's like you guys are working your tails off. It's like, it's hard.
That's all right.
It's okay.
We see the numbers like every day, whereas like we see it. So
I just think about the alternative and I just think, okay, I mean, I'm a worst case scenario person, you know.
Really?
I know that's hard to believe, but you know, and I just think, okay, if the doors were shut and they're looking at who took what, and you see, well, the administration took pay raises and they still shut the doors, you know, to me, that just doesn't look good. So that's how I think about that.
Okay, move on to the next item. That's the superintendent's report.
all right. Not tons. We've got the memo of understanding. That was I worked with the teachers union on that, and they were very generous. And the way we worked it was, we're just going to take those 4 extra. We had 5 days, and so we're going to use one this Tuesday with the secondary staff as just a work day to finish up their grades and anything that they need to wrap up. So they'll be working next Tuesday. And then the elementary staff, their work day is yet to be determined because Jason was talking about those books. They're going to do it on that book day, whenever that is. And then we're going to move those other 4. There was 2 PD days and 2 snow days. We're going to move those to like sometime later in June, July, or August, depending on when some of this PD comes out with the return to learn stuff. And so we've just said the agreement was that we'll use them up before August 24th. So, and they were very agreeable to just being flexible with where we need to put them. And we're going to work through the details of when we find out when PD is going to be or what it's going to be, we'll set it up. So that was what that was, memo of understanding what it was about. And then this return to learn plan, John and I were laughing that the safety plan was just the precursor to cut your teeth on writing a plan. We thought that was a big deal. Turns out that was nothing. So we actually met for the first time as a group, a couple days ago. And it was with the district leadership team, the academic team. So it was, I mean, the leadership team has been meeting once a week for the whole time, but we've added in a few new members because as this guidance has come out for this return to learn plan, it's just a huge task, and you have to have teachers involved with it because, I mean, it's their work that they're doing. So the normal team that meets once a week is me and Jason and Rob and Josh and Travis and Dennis and Zach Hasselbrink and Greg Pickett. So we would meet and just talk through, okay, how are we going to do this? What's next steps? So now we've added into the team, the core team, those people plus Casey O'Rourke as an elementary representative, Scott Brummel as a middle school representative, and who's the high school? Oh, Colby Wagner. Colby Wagner was the high school one. And so we met in here the other day and just started talking through, okay, how are we going to do this? What's it going to look like? Because I don't know how familiar you are with the guidelines, but we have to have 3 plans. We have to have a continuous learning plan, which is kind of an online learning plan that will be required. That's a requirement coming down from the DE. So, you know, like right now we're voluntary. And so we didn't have to figure out what are we going to do with our kiddos without Wi-Fi? What are we going to do with anybody who has an IEP? How are we going to manage that? Well, now we have to figure that out because that's part of the return to learn plan. And then we have to have a plan for if we're in this building, how's it going to look? You know, do we have to have social distancing? Do we have to have A day, B day? Do we only have our elementary kids come a couple days a week and our middle school, high school only come 1 or 2 days a week? Or, how does busing look? So all those kind of considerations. And then we have to have a hybrid plan, which is, we're here and then something happens, there's an outbreak and we got to pull the plug, send everybody home. You have to be able to just go like from today you're at school till tomorrow you're not, and you're not going to be back for 2 more weeks. So we have to be able to come up with this fluid plan of how is it going to look. And you have to have it, your tentative plans uploaded to the Department of Ed's website by July 1st. So we've been just starting to like really dig in, but a little bit of the frustration is the guidance is not all the way out yet. And the DE they're doing a great job. They are working hard at trying to get the information out to us, but things from them have to come from, the Department of Public Health, and they have to come down from the governor. And it's all a moving target because we don't even know what things are going to look like in August. So it's hard to plan for that. So anyway, that's been pretty much all consuming. It's just this return to learn plan. And then even today, the governor announced that sports were open back up. So while that's really exciting and we're excited for kids, we're like, holy smokes, that's all of a sudden we have to get that figured out between now and, June 15th. And I think kids start practice, they can start June 1st. So, which is like next week. So, Mr. Luther and Mrs. Fricky and I were texting back and forth like a whole bunch today. So we're meeting on Friday morning to talk about, okay, what's this going to look like? How are we going to do this? And, so she was going to put something out on social media just saying, we're working on it, but we don't have we don't have all the guidance yet. The union and the association are supposed to be putting out more guidance, I think, Tuesday. And Ann Lebo has another Zoom tomorrow. So there's it's stuff coming at us a million miles an hour. So we are that's really pretty much what we've been working on. So I don't know what questions you have for that, or just stay tuned. I mean,
I saw, just a side note, I saw, it was on the news, like the Missouri schools are doing 4 days in school and every Monday is online learning so that they can just stay fresh with it, in case there was ever a breakout or something, then they already know what they're doing.
Yeah. And it's everyone's doing, like, school districts have been so helpful to each other. I mean, I'm every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 o'clock, there's a Heartland area superintendent Zoom. And so it's been such a great resource. I mean, everybody's on there and they're putting together documents that, like, if some school has a really great idea of how they're going to do, K2, recess, how are you going to handle K2 recess? Then they might upload a document like, this is how we're going to do it. And then rather than 350 school districts all trying to come up with it, we can look at each other's and steal and tweak and make it work for us. So everyone's just, as a state, just collaboratively trying to figure this out together. So, I mean, that part has been awesome to see. Let's see, what else do I have? I can't remember. I wrote this thing last week, and things have changed so much between the last week and now. So we've been working on operational sharing. So we talked about that quite a bit already. And one thing that I have on here, I just want for the operational sharing, Collins Maxwell reached out to me and asked if we would be interested in sharing a business manager. And I don't know that we are, but I thought in due diligence, I need to bring that up to you guys. And you can only get up to 21 and we're at 19 already. And business manager is a 5 position. And so even if we were all in and really wanted to, we probably wouldn't make our money back on it to break even on it. And so if you want us to pursue it, we will, but I wouldn't overly recommend that right now, just because of the position we're in. I'm still learning and we're in this budget cutting, and like, it's pretty helpful having Julie here all the time. So if anyone, I'm seeing lots of head shakes, like we're good with just staying where we're at. Okay. Okay, very good.
For being an email resource.
Yeah.
Like actually sending you into that.
What's that?
I would say I'd rather have you be an email resource, like, hey, what do you do for this situation?
Yeah.
Rather
You know,
than,
I don't
Julie's the
know.
one to make the decisions.
I'm
Right.
not really sure why they didn't go that route, because I'm happy to do that. And actually, like IASBO sets up official mentors, mentees, and I've been a mentor before, and so I don't know why they
Yeah.
haven't thought of that.
And
you
maybe
know?
I actually had an email from Corey today saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you about some stuff." So, and we like I just saw it, and so we're going to talk tomorrow. So, I can offer that up. That
Mhm.
you'd be glad to do that. But yeah, so like whenever I get these inquiries, at least I'm going to share them with you guys. I talked a little bit about the meeting we're going to have with the secretaries next week, just to talk through like, okay, how is this going to look? And you know, everybody does a million things that we all don't see. So it's just going to be like kind of putting it up on the table. How's it going to look? Who's going to do what? And how are we going to manage the doors? And how are we going to manage the ID badge system? Just all those things that with this whole new setup, how's it going to look? So we just need to get the people who are doing that work around the table to kind of rewrite the job descriptions. So we're going to start working on that on next week as well. And then one thing, John, I don't know if we have really talked about this. Remember like out there where they put the new cement, and then we've talked about putting maybe a nice bench or 2 benches, something maybe like flat that you could sit on from either side. So it's just somewhere when you first come up to the building, because at first it was like grass and we were afraid people were going to drive there. And so now that's like rocks, but it looks like a place that kind of needs a bench or something. So we know that there's some the money for benches. Haven't some classes donated or like people
Or
have passed
memorial, I think,
away?
yeah.
We
some
do have some
memorial
memorial monies. So I know like Deb's class
Yeah, that
has some memorial money. I think it's around $1,000, which would take care of 1 bench. And then we still have the Halter Memorial. I don't know if that's something that they would be interested in, just because, you know, Cora was in the lunchroom and that, and they sort of told me that they kind of wanted to gear it that way, but I haven't come up with anything in the lunchroom that's not tangible, you know? And so we still have that money. So, and then I was thinking that you were going to use something, or you were were you thinking about the deal
Yeah. I
for
have
landscaping anyway? So
I need to talk to the other people on that.
So I feel like somewhere we could come up. We also have Stuart Allspa. We have some memorial money for that, and they had asked for a bench to go over on the old third baseline of the Babe Ruth field where it used to be, because Stan was a coach for that many years, and you know, Stuart, and then Sharon taught here and all that. We haven't actually said it yet because of everything that's happened, but you know, maybe they'd rather put it up here in front of the school. I don't know, you know, so I do feel like we maybe have some options. To
And
pay
I
for it.
talked to Dale last week, and he'd found a website that had different benches. He found a steel one, which I don't know. In my mind, I have to think like concrete, pretty substantial, because I mean it does kind of serve as a barrier from the street to the steps going down in there. But one that's just concrete, like say no
Looks
back
just
on
like
it, so
a-
you can
yeah,
sit
yeah.
either way.
It
just looks
face
like
the
stone.
school or
Yeah.
or the street. So if kids waiting for mom and dad to pick them up, they can sit down there.
I know the senior class has got some money too, that they're kind of tossing around something to do in memory of Ronan.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know what ideas they've got, but that might be a
Right.
an
I think
idea.
if
Because you could put a plaque on
For
it or
sure,
whatever,
for
and
sure.
that would be.
I do know that Peterson's for Kruger, they had benches made for the dugouts out there, and I know that they poured the
Betty and then Peters. Oh, you're talking
Bill-
about Peter
Bill
Kruger.
yeah, and I know that Kyle made the bench, and then they made their own cement slab. They did their own cement work themselves, but I think it's going to be around $1,000 if you were to do like a metal bench kind of a thing with the cement slab. So,
Well,
but
the
I think
cement's
it'd be-
already there.
the cement's already there. You
It's
just have to
are
get
you,
the
you're
bench.
talking more like just a flat bench that's
Right.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
solid and
I think it'd be cute, like you said, just stone, like cut stone or something. Maybe we can go through mid landscaping to get that, you know, with the stone legs or whatever. Yeah.
Dale was supposed to email me. I don't think I got it yet. That website, because he said it had all different kinds of
Sure.
pinches.
Sure.
I can make myself a note to ask him about it too.
How many do you think?
Probably just two, I think.
Like one on each side?
Well, and are you thinking like parallel to the street?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
So that it's
Like on each side of the sidewalk though? Or is that what
no,
you're
I
thinking,
think
or
like have
is
you
it out
seen out
Between
like
the sidewalk and the street.
Oh,
yeah, so the
Yeah.
sidewalk and then there's like rocks. So it's kind of like
They poured the sidewalk, and then
sidewalk.
there's also, they poured another
like
4 or 5 foot wide strip of
Spot.
concrete
yeah.
Mhm.
on the north side of the sidewalk, and then from there to the street is that river rock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So do we need other landscaping done though, or no? Is it pretty much taken care
Yeah,
of?
we
I think it's,
went through a plan with Dale.
yeah.
John and I met with him.
All the
a week or
river
two ago.
rock
Yeah.
that's out there is done. They're gonna, whatever's black dirt now is gonna be sodded
Grass
or
and stuff,
seeded,
yeah.
so.
And they're doing that and all that? Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yep. And then we're gonna put some
We're gonna be
overtime,
responsible at some point
some
to put some
plants
bushes
and-
or something between our parking lot and Hoskins.
Yeah.
That was part of
Yep.
that
Mhm.
agreement.
Yeah,
but,
I remember that.
Yeah,
But we talked about like if we ever wanted to add some small trees or something, the kids are always like around. Is it like Earth Day or Arbor Day or something?
Yeah, they do the
They plant some
trees
things.
for kids.
Yeah, so we thought about doing something like that, like just a little bit later,
kind of
like
being
kind of let it,
minimal right now.
yeah.
Have areas where we want to put a tree.
Yeah, it's usually like $5,000, but I think the city usually goes in with us and we do all those trees. Remember that? We did that for a few years, like through Alliant Energy, I think.
So otherwise, that's about all I've been up to. So
It's probably busier now than if you had
yeah,
actually
for,
school. in
yeah, for
session,
real.
right?
We were talking about that. We're just like, it never shuts off. You know, it's, you hear your email ding and you're like, oh, I'll just take care of it right now.
Because
you
usually
know?
like at school, you know,
Yeah.
kind of at school, like after school, you get in the car and go home, you kind of just shut it off and you still check, but you
Yeah.
kind of, but at home, like you just never shut it
It's
off.
always there,
It's always
yeah.
there. So it's just, it's a weird time, but you know, it'll never be this again, hopefully. So we'll just figure it out. So.
Okay, anybody have anything for Michael or any other discussion?
Thank you for
Yeah,
all of
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, everything.
Thanks for the nice emails. A couple of you sent yesterday. I was going to reply back, but I just didn't get to it. But thank you. That was really, really kind words. So
Hey, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Close same sign. Meeting's adjourned.